The military in Zimbabwe appears to have taken control of the country's airwaves amid high tension in the capital and reports of explosions and gunfire. After securing control of the state broadcaster, a military spokesman made a televised announcement early on Wednesday saying President Robert Mugabe and his family were safe and their security is guaranteed. He said the army was targeting criminals around Mugabe, who were committing crimes that are causing social and economic suffering in order to bring them to justice. Insisting this was not a military takeover, he said as soon as they are done the situation will come to normalcy. We urge you to remain calm and limit unnecessary movement. However, we encourage those who are employed and those with essential business in the city to continue their normal activities as usual, he said. The spokesman said the army had acted because the Zimbabwe Broadcasting Corporation had not aired a statement from the military on Monday and the situation in our country has moved to another level. Canceling all leave for members of the military, he urged the security forces to cooperate for the good of our country. He warned any provocation will be met with an appropriate response. The announcement came after witnesses in Harare reported a number of loud explosions and saw armed forces assaulting passers-by in the early hours of the morning. Prolonged gunfire erupted near Mugabe's private residence in the suburb of Barodale early on Wednesday, a witness told Agence France-Presse. SOLRs were also seen loading ammunition near a group of 4 military vehicles. The explosions could be heard near the University of Zimbabwe campus, Reuters reported. During the drama, the U.S. Embassy in the capital tweeted out a message citing ongoing uncertainty. A statement later posted by the embassy told U.S. citizens in Zimbabwe to shelter in place until further notice. The British government said that due to the uncertain political situation, British nationals should remain at home. Profile Grace Mugabe is the 52-year-old First Lady of Zimbabwe. Born in South Africa, she married Robert Mugabe, 40 years her senior, in 1996. Initially struggling to emerge from the shadows of the president's popular first wife, Sally, who died in 1992, Mugabe appeared by her husband's side for official functions but rarely got involved in politics herself, focusing publicly on her charity work while gaining a reputation for legendary shopping expeditions. In 2009, a British photographer alleged that she punched him repeatedly in the face when he tried to take a picture of her in Hong Kong. She has since been implicated in several incidents outside Zimbabwe and Singapore, in Malaysia and most recently in South Africa, where she allegedly assaulted a model in August. The unveiling of Grace Mugabe as a potential successor to her husband began in 2014, when she became head of the ruling party's Women's League and the state propaganda machine began talking up her political acumen. Her path to power received an enormous boost on the 6th of November when her main rival, the vice-president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, was fired. The feud between Mugabe and Mnangagwa had been bitter. In October, she publicly denied poisoning him after he fell ill at a rally in August. Thank you for your feedback. Reuters said its reporter in the capital had encountered aggressive SOLRs telling passing cars to keep moving through the darkness. Don't try anything funny. Just go, one said on Harare Drive. 2 hours later, SOLRs overran the headquarters of the ZBC, Zimbabwe's state broadcaster and a principal Mugabe mouthpiece, and ordered staff to leave. Several ZBC workers were manhandled, 2 members of staff and a human rights activist told Reuters. Despite the troops stationed at locations across Harare, there was no word from the military as to the fate of President Robert Mugabe. The extraordinary events happened hours after Zimbabwe's government accused the head of the armed forces of treasonable conduct, ratcheting up tension in the southern African nation. Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe addresses ZANU members gathered to show support for Grace Mugabe, right, becoming the party's next vice president. Photographed Jakasaying Jikes and off-BGT images. Armed military vehicles had been seen driving through the capital earlier on Tuesday, sparking rumors of a coup attempt just a day after the country's military chief, flanked by other senior officers, warned that he was prepared to step in to end a turmoil in the ruling ZANU party. Witnesses had reported seeing several lorries of SOLRs and at least 6 armored vehicles on roads approaching Harare in the late afternoon, though residents said there were no signs of troops at the airport or Mugabe's official residence. A second column of military vehicles was later reported moving down the same road. It remained unclear who ordered the military movement, which came amid an unprecedented challenge to the 93-year-old president from the country's powerful armed forces. Mugabe, the only leader Zimbabwe has known in 37 years of independence, shocked the country earlier this month when he sacked powerful vice-president, Emmerson Mnangagwa. Nicknamed the Crocodile from his time fighting in the country's liberation wars, Mnangagwa has a strong support base among veterans and also from within the security establishment that he once ran. He had been considered the mostly likely candidate to succeed Mugabe if the president decided to step down or die in office. Mnangagwa's downfall and flight into exile was widely seen as paving the way for his arch-rival, Mugabe's 52-year-old wife Grace, to take power instead. Mugabe's shock move caused widespread discontent among Mnangagwa's supporters and exposed deep factional divides within ZANU ranks. On Monday, Gen. Constantine Chiwenga, the head of Zimbabwe's military, called a press conference to warn that troops could intervene if long-term political allies continued to suffer. "We must remind those behind the current treacherous shenanigans that when it comes to matters of protecting our revolution, the military will not hesitate to step in," Chiwenga said. "The current purging, which is clearly targeting members of the party with a liberation background, must stop forthwith," Chiwenga said, in a statement read to reporters at a news conference packed with 90 senior officers from across key units in a show of military unity. Zimbabwe's army commander, Constantine Chiwenga, addresses a press conference in Harare. Photographs Vingaray Mukwasiap. The statement was initially carried on state media, then entirely wiped from the airwaves, but the government was slow to respond, with no word from Mugabe himself. After a weekly cabinet meeting on Tuesday, however, a statement was issued by Simon Kamoyo, the government spokesman and National Secretary for Information and Publicity, accusing Chiwenga of treasonable conduct. Such conduct stands unreservedly condemned not only in the party, but also in the region and the entire African continent where subversion of constitutional authority is regarded as absolute anathema, the statement read. The lack of any word from Mugabe himself suggested the president might be on the back foot, however, said Piers Pigo, an expert on Zimbabwe with the International Crisis Group, who is based in neighboring South Africa. Mugabe's failure to issue a clear statement reassuring supporters suggests he is not in control, Pigo said. It is very unclear how this will play out, and there is a certain amount of wishful thinking from those who would like to see Mugabe arrested or dragged off, but the president's silence suggests he may not be in control of the situation, he added. Mugabe's authoritarian rule has been anchored by support from the military, but the aging leader has systematically dismissed veterans of the liberation struggle from party posts in recent years, leaving the top echelons of ZANU stacked with officials who did not fight in the independence war. War veterans broke ranks with him in 2016 and have vowed to form a broad front with the opposition to challenge his long rule. Chris Mavangwa, the head of the War Veterans Group, told reporters in Johannesburg last week that Grace Mugabe was a madwoman who had won power through a coup by marriage certificate. The First Lady is a deeply divisive figure in Zimbabwe with limited popular support. She has been tarnished by an alleged assault against a model she had found in the company of her sons in a luxury apartment in Johannesburg in September. Granted diplomatic immunity after the incident, she was allowed to leave South Africa despite a police inquiry and denies any wrongdoing. Reports of extravagant purchases, including property in South Africa and a Rolls-Royce, have also angered many Zimbabweans. Pictures of one of the First Lady's sons apparently pouring most of a bottle of champagne over a luxury worth tens of thousands of dollars in a nightclub were shared widely on social media this week. The former junior administrator is detested by many of the independence-era war veterans, who once enjoyed a privileged role in the ruling party under Mugabe, but who have increasingly been banished from senior government and party roles in recent years. The crisis comes at a time when Zimbabwe faces severe economic problems. The country is struggling to pay for imports due to a shortage of dollars, which has also caused acute cash shortages.